What has then the reaction been from leaders across the globe?
Yeah, Tom, obviously this is a sort of thing that would send shock across the world. The stability of the United States is obviously paramount for every single country on the planet. And the leaders, as you say, across the planet, basically quickly to say that they send their condolences to Trump and their sympathies. But really the main messages across all is that violence is not the solution to political problems. You heard that from a number of different leaders, including Olaf Scholz, saying that the attack on the U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump is despicable. Such acts of violence threaten democracy. Though, of course, this was not the universal message across all of the different countries. And so we sort of take our focus to certain ones in particular. China gave a very sort of sober message of sympathy, saying that they're very concerned about the shooting incident. But we also go to the Kremlin, where we heard from the spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, saying that we do not believe that the attempt to eliminate and assassinate Trump was organized by the current authorities, i.e. President Biden, but the atmosphere around candidate Trump provoked what America is confronting today. Now, that is obviously the message from Russia taken with a grain of salt. However, it is a sentiment that has been echoed by other leaders from across the world. You had Javier Milei in Argentina saying that the desperation of the international left is not surprising, that it's willing to sort of to not lose at the polls by resorting to terrorism. You had Nigel Farage in the UK saying that the narrative that has been put around Trump by these liberals that oppose him is so nasty, so unpleasant, that he thinks it almost encourages this kind of behavior. So you had some of those messages, similar things from Geert Wilders over in the Netherlands. But really, for these global leaders, it's a question of stability in the United States and really how it's going to bear on who is going to be sitting across from them come January.
Yeah, so I mean, as you say, look, Milei and the Russians kind of tying in and pointing to and stirring up kind of some of these conspiracy theories. So we should, of course, look at those in that particular light. The political violence, of course, that we've seen in the US, and it's been quite pronounced. There's been analysis of the tick up that we've seen in recent years. Not just a concern, of course, on US soil. This is a concern facing other nations across the world.
Absolutely, Tom, and stable democracies. I mean, you know, you had obviously the Trump attempt is the sort of highest profile and maybe sort of one of the more consequential things that we've seen in a while. But we saw Robert Fico of Slovakia, the prime minister, was shot just 2 months ago. You had a candidate in Korea who was stabbed earlier this year. These are all things that are of major concern. And in Germany specifically, there's been nothing quite as high profile. But in the lead up to the European elections, there were a number of acts of political violence, really attacks on politicians, including the former mayor of Berlin. You saw all of these sort of swell up. And again, according to the sort of German government, you've seen these acts go up to 60,000 offenses last year. Back in 2022, it set a record for politically motivated acts of violence. And again, back in 2023, set another record. This is all obviously very concerning because those numbers have almost doubled over the last 10 years. And really, this all comes into relief for us here in Germany because we have state elections here in September in 3 regions across Germany. And the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, the far-right group, where there's a lot of concern around some of this political violence, are expected to sweep all 3 of those regions. So in Germany, it's very much front and center.